Deep in the vast expanse of space, and beyond the reaches of our understanding, lies our boundless solar system. And very recently, something alien and massive has breached the boundaries of our solar system, and it's speeding toward Earth. But what exactly is this alien vessel? Join us as we explore what it could be, as NASA just detected something terrifying entering our solar system. The International Space Station, ISS. The International Space Station is like a huge spaceship around Earth. It's not just a home for astronauts and cosmonauts, it's also a special science lab. Many countries work together to build and run the ISS. Astronauts build the ISS while traveling at an incredible speed of 17,500 miles per hour. They go around the Earth every 90 minutes, about 250 miles above us. The ISS, including the end zones, is as big as a football field. On Earth, it would weigh about 1 million pounds. Countries like the United States, Russia, Europe, Japan, and Canada all help with the ISS. They connect different parts of the station with walkways called modules. The Russian modules are like the station's brain and have places for astronauts to live. The ISS uses solar panels to get energy from the sun and stay at the right temperature. Robot arms on the ISS help build it and move things around. These arms also help astronauts when they go out into space for walks or to do experiments. So, the ISS is not just a home in space. It's also a place where countries work together to explore and learn about space. Meanwhile, the docking ports on the ISS are like doorways for astronauts and spaceships, and the airlocks are like the doors they go through. Sometimes, strange objects have been seen docking with the ISS, which makes these ports seem confusing and exciting. People are also interested in the cameras on the ISS. There are 4 really good cameras called the Columbus Eye. These cameras let fans watch what's happening around the ISS from their homes. The cameras were sent up in April 2014 as part of the CR3 mission. They give an incredible view of the Earth and are a big hit on the University of Bonn's live streaming website. The 4 cameras are connected to the ISS's computer with a special cable called an Ethernet cable. This cable sends the images back to Earth so people can see them. The cameras do more than just show interesting pictures. They also get tested in space to see how tough they are. NASA wants to know which cameras are best for future missions by seeing how well they work in space. So, the cameras are not only for taking pictures, they're also helping NASA learn how to make better cameras for space exploration. However, some people have accused NASA of turning off these cameras during live streams to hide things from the public. As a space agency, NASA has a good view of space and can spot strange objects. But some think they only show us what they want us to see. The controversy got more intense when a bright object was seen on a live stream, appearing to enter Earth's atmosphere before the feed was suddenly cut off. This has made people even more curious about what NASA might be hiding. The attempt to hide information just makes the public want to know more. UFOs, or unidentified flying objects, are still very controversial and interesting. Have you heard about the latest UFO sightings on NASA's live stream from the International Space Station? There's a guy named Jeff, also known as the UFO Hunter, who said he saw 10 strange things floating near the ISS while he was watching the live stream. He quickly took a picture of it and sent it to Michael, who watches Earth for any changes and tries to figure out why strange things happen. Jeff's picture became popular, with hundreds of thousands of people looking at it. This story is much like the famous Mantell incident, which was a big deal in the UFO world for a long time. It makes people think there might be something important that NASA isn't telling us. That's why everyone's so curious about what NASA might be hiding. UFO sightings around the ISS. On March 28, 2013, something interesting happened while NASA astronaut Chris Cassidy was on a spacewalk near the International Space Station. As Cassidy floated out into space in his astronaut suit, he noticed something strange floating nearby. This unexpected sighting excited scientists and people who love UFOs. But it's important to know that Cassidy, experienced in space, didn't jump to conclusions and think it was from aliens or some unknown creature. When Cassidy saw the mysterious white object, he immediately told the people on the ground. He followed all the rules for reporting unusual things in space. The ground control team told Cassidy and his fellow astronaut, Tom Marshburn, to keep doing their tasks and not let this distract them from their mission. NASA quickly figured out that the object was probably just a piece of junk from space, like insulation or something left over from another space mission. They said space junk is common up there and can be dangerous for the ISS and other spacecraft. But was it really just junk? We might never know the whole truth. Later, Cassidy talked about what he saw in a press conference to explain the strange event. He said it was likely just some random piece of junk, maybe a cover for a light or a bit of insulation that accidentally came off the outside of the space station. Cassidy's explanation helped calm some excitement about the mystery object. A lens flare, or UFO. In November 2015, something else caught people's attention. A video seemed to show a UFO flying close to the ISS. The video spread really quickly, showing a bright object moving far away while the ISS circled the Earth. Lots of folks thought it was definitely a UFO, and they had all sorts of ideas about what it could be. Some said it might be proof of extremely advanced alien gadgets. Others thought it was a secret project by the government. But NASA stepped in again and said it was probably just a trick of the camera. They explained that sometimes when you take pictures or videos in space, you can get weird reflections or glares from things like windows. These can make bright spots or streaks of light that look like something else. Even though NASA explained it, people got really interested again in aliens and whether we might meet them someday. It also showed how hard it can be to figure out what's happening in photos and videos when looking for UFOs or other weird things. Now let's go back in time to the famous Mantell incident. Back then, it was much easier for people to hide things because it was harder to share information. The Mantell incidents. The Mantell UFO incident happened on January 7, 1948, near Fort Knox, Kentucky. It's a big deal in UFO history. It's named after Captain Thomas F. Mantell, a well-respected Kentucky Air National Guard pilot. He had flown for over 2,167 hours, which is a lot. Around 1:45 p.m. that day, many people in Kentucky saw a big circular thing hovering in the sky. People described it in different ways. Some said it looked like it was made of metal, while others thought it looked like a disc or a saucer. Reports of the sighting came in from many people in Kentucky around 1:45 p.m. They all saw something strange that didn't look like anything they knew. Some said it had shiny metal parts, and others thought it looked like a flying disc or saucer. This incident is important because it was one of the first big UFO sightings. It got a lot of people interested in UFOs and wondering if there really are aliens visiting Earth. People saw strange things and told the Kentucky State Police and military about it. They sprang into action when reports came in about a UFO near Godman Air Force Base, close to Fort Knox. Sergeant Quentin Blackwell, who was in charge of the control tower at Godman, saw the object and said it looked like an ice cream cone with a red top. He quickly told Captain Gary Carter, who then called Colonel Guy Hicks. They sent 4 F-51 fighter jets to check it out. One of the pilots sent to see what was going on was Captain Mantell. He was a brave pilot who had flown during World War II. He flew his F-51 Mustang up to a very high altitude of 22,500 feet to get a closer look at the UFO. Captain Mantell described the object as big and made of metal. He talked over the radio about how he wanted to get closer to understanding it better. Captain Mantell wasn't alone in chasing the UFO. Other pilots joined him in their fighter jets. They all wanted to find out what this mysterious thing in the sky was. This event got much attention because it involved military pilots chasing after something unknown. People were curious about what Captain Mantell and the others would find, and if they would solve the mystery of the strange object in the sky. Unfortunately, Captain Mantell's attempt to chase the UFO led him to fly too high, where there wasn't enough oxygen, which was very dangerous. Even though he was told to stay at a safe altitude, he kept going after the object. Sadly, they lost contact with Captain Mantell, and he crashed his plane and passed away. The Air Force looked into what happened, and people initially had different ideas about what he saw. Some thought it could have been a weather balloon, while others thought it might be something stranger. After more investigation, it seemed likely that Mantell was actually chasing a skyhook balloon owned by the US Navy, which was used to study cosmic rays. Even now, there are still debates and questions about what really happened during the Mantell incident. Some people think aliens might have been involved, even though that's controversial. Some think the military didn't tell the whole truth about what happened. Others believe that Mantell might have just been chasing something normal, but got confused, or had trouble because of the lack of oxygen at high altitudes. The Mantell UFO sighting is one of the earliest and most unfortunate times when people saw something strange in the sky. Many have tried to figure out what happened during the Mantell incident, but none of the explanations fit exactly right. Some say Mantell might have seen the planet Venus, but that doesn't seem likely given the situation. Also, saying it was a weather balloon doesn't make sense either, because Mantell was a skilled pilot who should have been able to tell the difference between a planet, a balloon, and something else entirely. One idea was that Mantell saw a sundog, which is like a trick of the light caused by sunlight bouncing off ice crystals in the air. But this doesn't quite fit, because sundogs need specific conditions to happen, and the object was seen from different directions, not just one. Even though there's no clear answer, the Mantell incident got a lot of attention. It led the authorities to start Project Blue Book in 1952. The job of this project was to try to explain as many UFO sightings as possible. They wanted to ensure people didn't get too scared about the idea of aliens or other things in the sky that might threaten national security. However, despite trying hard, encounters with UFOs that were well documented, with many people seeing them, radar showing strange things in the sky, and even airplanes experiencing strange effects, made it tough to say UFOs were just silly or not real. Major General John S. Ford, who was in charge of intelligence for the Air Force, said that they could explain most reports, but there were still some they couldn't explain. This means that even though Project Blue Book didn't prove that aliens exist, it did make people more aware of UFOs. It seems like the truth about UFOs is no longer just for people who love science fiction or think about conspiracies. Believe it or not, NASA has assembled a team of experts to look into what they call unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. This group has 60 experts, including physicists and astrobiologists. They will spend 9 months figuring out how to organize and analyze information about UAPs from civilians, governments, and businesses. This investigation by NASA is different from the one by the Pentagon, which looks into UAPs reported by military pilots and checked by U.S. defense and intelligence officials. NASA and UAP Task Force. The UAP Task Force, started by NASA in 2021, has a big job, gathering lots of information about unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP sightings. They want to determine if these sightings are caused by things like nature, human-made objects, or something else we don't understand yet. To do this well, they work closely with other important agencies like the U.S. Department of Defense and the Federal Aviation Administration. By working together, they hope to understand these mysterious sightings better and find out what's behind them. It's important to know that the UAP Task Force isn't specifically trying to prove whether aliens exist. Their main goal is to understand these sightings, see if they're a danger to people or planes, and find out if there are any risks involved. They gather information from many different sources, like military pilots, civilian planes, radar systems, and satellites. Despite all their hard work, they still haven't figured out exactly what these mysterious sightings are. In July 2022, The task force shared a report with their initial findings after looking into 144 UAP sightings. They hope that by sharing this information, they can shed light on these puzzling events. In a detailed study, about 80% of the sightings they looked at could be explained as things like weather balloons or drones, normal stuff we know about. But the other 20% are still a mystery, which means there could be something out there we don't understand yet. This report is just the start, though. The task force is still working hard and will soon share a more detailed report with more information. One of the most famous incidents they studied is the Tic Tac episode. It happened in 2004 off the coast of California. Navy pilots saw something that looked like a Tic Tac candy, but it was flying extremely fast and doing maneuvers that regular planes can't do. Even though the task force couldn't figure out what it was, they were sure it wasn't a normal plane or a drone that someone was flying. They also looked into other interesting sightings like the gimbal and go fast videos taken by Navy pilots in 2015. The UAP task force is working hard to understand these strange things people see in the sky. They're studying the sightings carefully, working with other important groups, and looking into sightings that have caught much attention. They want to learn more about these mysterious events that have fascinated and puzzled us for so long. Even though they're still working on it, their efforts could lead to new and exciting discoveries about what's up in the sky. As for recent discoveries made by NASA, there have been many exciting findings about space and our universe. Would you like to hear about some of them? Mini-moon orbiting asteroid, Dinkinesh. NASA's Lucy spacecraft made a fascinating discovery when it flew by the asteroid Dinkinesh. It found that Dinkinesh has a small, 220-meter-wide satellite, or mini-moon, spinning around it. This satellite is about 270 miles away from Dinkinesh. The spacecraft captured a picture of the asteroid and its mini-moon, providing scientists with valuable information. Dinkinesh is barely 500 miles wide, and its moon is only 220 meters. This makes Dinkinesh one of the smallest main belt asteroids ever seen up close. It's located roughly 300 million miles from Earth, in the main asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Keith Noll, an astronomer and the Lucy project scientist at NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, expressed excitement about the discovery, stating that they knew Dinkinesh would be small, but finding two objects in the system made it even more thrilling. Han Levinson, the principal investigator for Lucy from the Southwest Research Institute, described Dinkinesh as living up to its name, which means "you are marvelous" in the Amharic language of Ethiopia. Tom Kennedy, a guidance and navigation engineer at Lockheed Martin, also praised the images captured by the spacecraft, noting that they showed the terminal tracking system worked well despite the challenging nature of the target. The data collected during this flyby will help the team evaluate the spacecraft's performance and prepare for its next close-up encounter with an asteroid in 2025. Lucy's mission is to explore the Trojan asteroids, a group of 8 asteroids that share Jupiter's orbit. These asteroids are believed to contain ancient material similar to the outer planets of our solar system. Scientists hope to learn more about how our solar system formed billions of years ago by studying them. Originally, Lucy was planned to visit 7 asteroids, but the target list has now expanded to 11. The spacecraft will reach the first of these Trojan asteroids in 2027 and spend at least 6 years exploring them. This mission could provide valuable insights into the early history of our solar system. Interstellar visitor. In our solar system alone, there are trillions of space rocks and even more outside of it. Despite this huge number, scientists on Earth use telescopes and lasers to study them all the time. This is because any new information we learn about these rocks could instantly change our understanding of space. So every rock is important to study. Even though scientists study space rocks constantly, we've never really had a big object enter our solar system. If something does come in, it's usually at the edge of our solar system, and it needs to be moving really fast to get through the pressure at the edge. So the idea of an interstellar object getting close enough to be seen by our telescopes was never a main goal for researchers. Imagine their surprise when, on October 19, 2017, the University of Hawaii's Pan-STARRS 1 telescope detected something unusual. This telescope is part of the Near-Earth Object Observations Program, which studies anything that might be out there in space, including rocks, satellites, gases, and even pollution. They are always on the lookout for anything new or strange in space. When the telescope detected this object, scientists quickly analyzed the data and named it Oumuamua. This event was significant because it was the first interstellar object ever detected passing through our solar system. This discovery was a big deal because it showed that objects from other star systems could travel through our neighborhood, opening up new possibilities for space exploration and understanding the universe. Oumuamua, a rock or UFO. Oumuamua was no ordinary space rock. It was something completely different, unlike anything scientists had ever seen. Its discovery was so unusual that it grabbed everyone's attention. Usually when scientists study rocks in space, they come from within our solar system. But Oumuamua was different. It had somehow traveled from outside our solar system, which is almost impossible. Objects without engines or boosters are not supposed to be able to travel between stars. So the fact that Oumuamua had made it all the way to Earth was very puzzling. What was even more surprising was that Oumuamua didn't slow down as it got closer to Earth. Instead, it actually sped up. Then, it made a sharp turn in its orbit and headed back in the direction it came from. When scientists analyzed the data they had collected, they found that Oumuamua didn't just speed up once, it sped up several times on its journey to and from Earth. This was very strange because, as far as we know, rocks don't have engines or boosters to make them speed up like that. This left scientists with a big question. How could Oumuamua speed up and change its course without any apparent propulsion system? It was a mystery that puzzled everyone in the department, and finding an answer would not be easy. Oumuamua, the initial theories. At first, scientists thought that Oumuamua was just another asteroid heading towards Earth. When there's a random rock orbiting the sun, scientists usually classify it as an asteroid. That's what Oumuamua seemed like at first. However, after analyzing the data and seeing the rock change direction, they realized it was something else entirely. The problem was that Oumuamua was moving through our solar system very quickly. This meant that the researchers had limited time to study it. They only had 11 days to gather all the information they needed. They could collect less and less data as time passed, so they had to work quickly. The European Space Agency's Very Large Telescope in Chile was brought in to gather more detailed information. This telescope is used for very important and serious observations. It was tasked with measuring the object's size, determining its orbit, and even determining its color and brightness. Documenting every detail of Oumuamua was crucial because nothing like it had ever been seen before. However, even with all this information, things didn't get less confusing. In fact, they got even more confusing. Despite their best efforts, scientists couldn't definitively classify Oumuamua as an asteroid or a comet. Its behavior was unlike anything they had seen before. Usually asteroids and comets behave in predictable ways, but Oumuamua defied these rules. The mystery of Oumuamua continues to intrigue scientists. It has sparked new questions about the nature of objects in space and how they travel through our solar system. The limited time researchers had to study Oumuamua has made it even more enigmatic, leaving us with more questions than answers. The giant space cigar. When you think about a rock in space, like an asteroid or a comet, you probably imagine something round. That's because most objects in space are round or at least kind of spherical. This round shape isn't just a coincidence. It happens because all the atoms in an object are usually pulled together by gravity. Whether it's the sun's gravity or something else, a force always makes the atoms form a round shape. Plus, atoms tend to become even rounder in the vastness of space with all its debris, gases, and pressure. But Oumuamua was different. It didn't look like a sphere at all. It was shaped like a giant space cigar, and it was huge, with a radius of about 200 meters and 10 times longer than wide. This was unlike anything we had ever seen before, at least within our solar system, which is about 287.46 billion kilometers in diameter. So, Oumuamua was truly unique, one in almost 3 billion. Adding to the mystery, Oumuamua was red, like a burnt red. This color is common among objects in the outer solar system, but they usually get their color from the dust around them. Oumuamua's color was another strange thing, making scientists even more curious about where it came from and how it formed. Oumuamua was an extraordinary space rock, completely clean without a speck of dust on it. It was made of rock and metals, with no water, ice, or anything else. With such a solid build, you might expect it to move slowly, but Oumuamua was full of surprises. It was actually traveling at a staggering speed of 85,700 miles per hour. This high speed was due to gravity pulling Oumuamua towards the sun, and another force pushing or steering it through the solar system, a force that scientists couldn't see. Despite its changing speed, scientists could trace its path back to the star Vega, the brightest star in the constellation of Lyra, as its point of origin. However, although Oumuamua traveled an average of 59,000 miles per hour, it hadn't been near Vega for about 300,000 years. This means that Vega wasn't even in the same position when Oumuamua passed by. It's like Oumuamua took a long journey from Vega to our solar system, even though the star couldn't witness it. Despite scientists' efforts, Oumuamua remained a mystery. It wasn't an asteroid, a comet, or even from our solar system. Unlike anything we've seen before, it was entirely new and random. Now that Oumuamua has left our solar system, we will never see it again. Its brief visit has left scientists with more questions than answers, showing us that space is full of surprises and mysteries we have yet to uncover. A familiar visitor. We've talked about how rare it was to spot Oumuamua in our solar system. Scientists have been studying it for years, hoping to learn more about it. But instead of getting answers, they've found even more questions. Now things are getting even more interesting. Scientists have discovered that an object like Oumuamua enters our solar system and checks out the area at least once a year. It's so small and far away that we've never seen it. But thanks to telescopes like Pan-STARRS 1, we're finally getting the information we've been missing. If this object visits us yearly, could it be just a rock floating through space? Or could it be an extremely sneaky spaceship checking out what's happening in our neighborhood? That might sound a bit far-fetched, but Paul Chodas, who manages the Center for Near-Earth Object Studies, called it a strange visitor from a faraway star system, and said it's shaped like nothing we've ever seen in our solar system. What makes things even crazier is the name they've given this object. Oumuamua literally translates from Hawaiian to a messenger from afar arriving first. So what message does this messenger want to tell us? And why is it just cruising around our solar system like that? Does NASA already know what message the visitor was carrying? We'll have to wait until its next visit to learn about Oumuamua. Maybe then we'll finally uncover the secrets it's hiding. What is your take on Oumuamua? Could it be an alien craft? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.